Let's make some Victorian bookmarks. Good day everyone, my name is Caitlin. I'm a living historian who educates other living historians by teaching old-fashioned sewing skills and copying original garments. So, we started a new series a couple months ago called Victorian Craft Corner, where we make little crafts from the Victorian era. I have been doing a lot of research, and I have like physical books right now I'm doing a lot of research in, and I've been using my highlighter as a bookmark. So I need a bookmark, essentially, is what I'm saying here. And I have all these beautiful designs that are perforated card, and I have a lot of perforated card. So I figured we'd go ahead and do a perforated card bookmark, and because I don't think that's going to be super exciting, we're actually going to make two of them. Because my friend Michaela very sweetly started sending me a letter, and I'm going to try to attempt. I've never been a great pen pal, but I'm going to attempt it with Michaela. And because she's waited so patiently this last month while I've been out of town and not being able to respond to her, I want to make her a gift as well. And I wanted something that was be thin and be able to easily be sent in the mail. So I figured a bookmark would be great for her as well. So I found an 1856 one that actually says "for my friend" with some flowers in it. So we're gonna make that for Michaela. And I have a bunch of silk embroidery floss for hers. As far as the bookmark part, I have ribbon. This is silk ribbon that actually, surprisingly, really well matches the silk embroidery floss I already had. However, this is not going to be thick enough because this is how thick my bookmark's going to end up being. And I don't have 3-inch ribbon. Getting silk ribbon in 3 inches is really hard now. And so I have this. We might, what I might do is put two of them together. That could be a possibility here. The other option is I do have some pink silk that I could just make into, not really ribbon, but like a tube thing, so it would still function as a bookmark. For mine, we're going to be using a crewel wool, so we'll use wool for mine, and I found some green silk because the only ribbon I had was this much left. This is about how long I want my ribbon. If I had two of them, if I had two pieces this big, I would of course double it over, but I don't have that. So we're going to be using definitely fabric for mine. Might be able to contrive the ribbon for Michaela's. Anyway, yeah, I will show you the two designs on the screen. So one is from an original, Hope is the Anchor of the Soul. That's going to be for mine. And I am going to be changing the wreath on hers a little bit because it's not cross stitch. And I could probably sit there and figure out how to do that design with the satin stitch that it wants, and I don't want to. So I'm just going to do a different wreath that is entirely cross stitch because she's been waiting long enough for my response to this letter. I don't need to be sitting here for a week trying to figure that out. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I think we're just going to do the embroidery first on both of them. I'm hoping, I know I can get both of them on this piece of scrap. That'll be fine. So we'll start the embroidery. I might start Michaela's first, and then we'll do mine, and then we'll assemble them both together and have two beautiful bookmarks, our little pair of bookmarks. All right, this is the silk one that I'm working on for Michaela. And so I'm just trying to do the flowers first so I can get a good idea on size. I cut it down. The pattern I pulled was a little bit, I decided 4 inches a little bit too wide. So I've cut it down to 30 stitches across. So that's what I'm working on right now. The reason I chose 30 is, let's see, the word friend is, the way this original is written is 30 stitches across. So this isn't going to go wider than this. It's actually going to be the same across. So I might be able to make the ribbon work. We're going to figure that out. I've seen a couple of them where the ribbon's a little bit thinner than the embroidery. So if I can further document that, we might be doing that instead. Because then I would be able to use the ribbon for hers, which I would think is ideal. I also like that shade of ribbon because it really closely matches this embroidery. And these bigger ones have a little bit of yellow in them, so I'm going to leave 2 stitches there. And I will add that when I go back around with the yellow. Still need to do quite a bit of green. I have greens, of course I want to connect, I want it to be a wreath, so I have a little bit here just to connect, and then I need to do here, something here, and something here. And then I will fill in with a lighter green. I don't really care for the fact that the flowers aren't as high contrast as I would hope hoping. I only have the 2 shades of pink, and they look high contrast when you put, well, not really high contrast, but like I can see that there's a difference, but I can't really see there's a difference on here. So that's just something I'm still trying to figure out, especially, you know, I'm fairly new to working with silk. I think there is going to be a little more contrast with the green than there was the pink. I think once I get this wreath done, the very first word I'm going to do is the my in there. And then I'll probably work on friend, and then probably do for last. Which is probably a weird way to do it, but I think the friend and for are going to be the easiest ones to do. Well, friend is going to be the easiest because it will go exactly from this to this one. I'm going to have to center the for. I'm going to have to do a lot of work with the my because it has to be centered, of course, across, but also vertically throughout this whole little empty space here. I had both a brown and a blue pulled out, and I don't remember what I said earlier about which one I was going to use for the lettering, but I decided to do the blue. I think it's going to look nice. I do think the blue was a good choice. I think that looks nice. And it looks more or less centered, I think. I was a little concerned about that. See, I think that looks fine. That was the one I was most concerned about though, so I'm glad that's good. Yeah, we'll just do the other ones, and I like these projects because they're so nice and simple, and they don't take a lot of time, but they look really pretty. I think what we're going to do is, I have an idea to make the ribbon work for this. It's only like a 1/4 inch off now since I've made it thinner, and it's close enough to be annoying that it won't work, but I think I know what I can do that will make it work. And it's not having a little bit of this excess pointed out. I didn't think that was going to look good. I've seen it on a couple of originals. I think it's an authentic thing to do. It's just not what I want to do. So I have an idea, and I think I'm going to prep the ribbon for that after I finish this, and then we won't sew anything together yet. We'll wait till the other embroidery is done as well. And then I will assemble both bookmarks somewhat together. Alright, so that's what we're working with right now. Isn't it adorable? I think it's cute. Anyway, you can see how ridiculously close that is. It's so annoying. So what I think I'm going to do is take 2 layers of this. Let's go ahead and measure out how long I want this to be. I don't think it has to be anything particular. Maybe, say, this long is fine. I'm going to cut 2 of them. So my idea is I'm going to put these more or less overlapping. Straighten everything out first. And I want this to be about even, so that's just under 1 inch. That is also just under 1 inch. That's perfectly straight and even. Great. And this will make it a good bit wider than this. In fact, I may even want that a little bit closer. Which this will work. I'm trying to decide if I want it more towards the center or how I want to do this. I think center would be best. That'll work. Anyway, what I'm going to do is take some of this blue embroidery floss and do some, I'll probably do a feather stitch or something on this side and also on this side. So it's going to give like a stripe effect, essentially. That's the plan anyway. I think I want to leave these things raw. Or these ends, but they're going to ravel. Most of the originals show them that way. I guess eventually they'll fringe off to look cute, I guess. The hardest part is keeping the ribbons straight because they're not exactly the most sturdy things. So I'm going to make sure that they're, of course, as straight as we can get them. So the goal here is there's actually a seam on this side and there's a seam on the underside as well. But I'm holding it together with the embroidery. And then this is going to sit right somewhere in the middle right here. probably would have looked better with smaller stitches. And I started small at the very top, but then didn't keep them even. It just got too difficult with the way this is sitting. Hopefully that doesn't look too terrible. I will go ahead and mark the center. That way I know where to sew the center of the embroidery bit. And we're going to go ahead and do my embroidered or my perforated paper part, and we'll come over and attach them both whenever we get that one done. This one definitely is turning out wider than... It's really hard because there's so many beautiful antique ones that I would, love to do more perforated paperwork, but we don't have the size of perforated paper that they had back then. We have the larger kind, fewer holes per inch than they had access to. I mean, they had this size too, but they also had smaller ones, and it's really hard to get the small ones. And so things end up, of course, bigger when you're using a bigger scale of the paper. So I think this is a good width for like a Bible bookmark. I've seen some very wide ones for Bible bookmarks, which, I mean, at this one kind of works for a Bible bookmark, I suppose. I think I had good shades of colors on this one. The contrast is much better. You can see the different shades of blue, you can see the different shades of green. And I prefer that to how the silk one turned out with the flowers. I think there was enough contrast on the green, but with the flowers specifically, I don't care for that as much. It just looks very one-dimensional. Right, there we go. Does. Okay, cool. And then we're going to cut one across the top. All right, so this is quite a large one. I think, and because this is such thin silk, I think I'm going to almost bag line it. I think to measure this, we're going to measure about 3/8 of an inch on either side, so I can do a little bit of a seam allowance if I'm going to bag line it. So there won't be a seam on the bottom. I will just do it this way. And I'm going to leave the opening like right here, wherever I'm going to put this thing. That way, whenever I go to sew this on, I will stitch that opening at the same time as this. All right, so I stitched that. And cut off the corners so that it, lays a little bit nicer. Flip it right side out, and then I'm going to iron the entire thing. Make it all nice and pressed, especially, there's wrinkles in it, but I also want to get the seam lines all nice and crisp. And then we can actually attach our embroideries to both of the ribbons that we've created. There are lots of ways to attach this. I'm choosing a very basic method for this. So I'm taking a single layer of the silk embroidery. I could have chosen the pink to make it even more invisible, but this is fine. I'm going every other stitch and just attaching the very edge. But there's like a million different ways that you can do this. So that's what it looks like when it's attached. So it did take me a very long time because this ribbon is so slinky to get it mostly even. There's a little spot here that's not even. I think this side is a little less even, but I am trying. It is a very slinky ribbon. I think I'm going to do something similar on the other one as far as attaching goes, but do a little bit more. Because I don't really want it to be noticeable. I want the embroidery to be noticeable, but I don't necessarily want the attaching to be as noticeable. That's what it looks like from the back. It doesn't look terrible. So that's bookmark number 1. I think we're going to do every single one on this one. If I wanted to be noticeable, what I could have done is the thicker thread and almost like a blanket stitch all the way around. But I think because the words are so close to the top, I don't want to do a blanket stitch. So this will work out just fine. So from the back side, it's just little tiny stitches. I am going to that corner one 3 times, just, you know, one on this end, one in the corner, one on the other end. And I think that adds a little bit of cute detail as well. But yeah, I gotta go across this entire thing. It's interesting, I don't know if you, well, I guess you can tell if I put it here. I did not measure this at all, which is however long the silk was, and I didn't really measure this, but they ended up being literally the exact length completely by accident, which is interesting. Alright, there we are, that's the last of it. So I like the green on it. I think I think it would look good with the blue too, just because there's so little blue and already a lot of green in the embroidery. So I think a blue ribbon would have looked really nice, but I think the green looks fine. I think they're cute. I'll go find a book so we can just see them with the book, I guess. So yeah, that's the bookmarks. We'll probably do another set of bookmarks at some point. I don't know exactly what we're going to do. I want to find some more designs to do this. These are fun little projects. If you're a living historian and you have some friends and you like to make them gifts, little things like bookmarks, pen wipers, pen cushions make really, really good gifts. And they're not too hard to do. So even if you've never done cross stitch or anything, they're not too hard to do. So, especially if you have ribbon that's the right size, that would really help here. But the way I did this one with the fabric, I think works just fine as well. So, yeah, they turned out super cute. I think I'm a little bit partial to the ribbon being the same size as the embroidery as opposed to having extra on the outside. I thought I was going to like the extra on the outside. I don't think it's my favorite, but I don't think it looks bad. I just don't think it's my favorite way to do it. What I do love though is that this looks like a 3-inch wide ribbon. You can't even see that there's a seam there. It just looks like I embroidered on some ribbon, which is what I was hoping for. So I'm glad it turned out at least in that respect. But those are my bookmarks for this time. They're so adorable. I'm still super impressed at how that pink matches exactly. And I bought them years and years apart, not even trying to match them. I mean, this ribbon is supposed to be for the mannequin girls. I'm going to trim their bonnets and hats in that ribbon. And then the embroidery was for a sampler that I was going to start probably 7 or 8 years ago that I never started. And so the fact that they matched that closely is, in my mind, very impressive. All I can say is I'm very glad to have a bookmark now. So I think this will fit really well in a envelope, and so I can send that to Michaela no problem. And I'm happy to have a bookmark because I have been using that for my bookmark. So it'd be nice to actually have a bookmark that's not going to hurt the spines of my books. Yeah, they turned out super cute. Those are the bookmarks. I definitely needed one, and I also needed something to give to Michaela since she's been very patiently waiting on my response letter for a while now. So I don't make the best pen pal, but I do try to make up for the fact that I am a very slow writer by sending trinkets along with letters. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe to the channel, click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.